Welcome back to Sports Time HQ. I'm your host, Fernando. Joined with me today is my great co-host, Keith. Keith, how are you doing today? It's been a struggle for both of us.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, but football-wise, yeah, definitely a struggle. I mean, what's the story with your Patriots before we get on to my Seahawks? I mean, they don't let many points in, but then they can't score any.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time a team has ever lost 3 games straight, anyways, and hasn't even been able to put up more than 10 points and held the team to at least under 10 points.
Yeah,
It's really sad to see. It looks like our defense is still pretty good, I guess,
it
but
is.
our offense can't score anything.
No, and I was reading there before we came on that Jimmy G, if he gets released, could be finding his way back to use if Bill Belichick is going to stick around. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I did not.
would that be an upgrade now to Mac Jones?
Anything. A guy off the street is an upgrade.
You would be an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. I actually would be intrigued on the whole Jimmy Garoppolo situation. I actually would be interested to see what's going to happen with that, because if that does end up happening, now here's the thing: do you go into the draft and draft a wide receiver at 2 and Marvin Harrison? Obviously, yes, that's the answer.
Yeah.
But what do you do now? Are you going to take a later round quarterback and give it a chance to Jimmy G? Because if you do that and Jimmy G is not the answer, then we're back in a hole of another 3-year drought.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy G would be just more kind of like stability and getting used back kind of going again. I mean, I don't think you're not going to be up there fighting for playoffs, but you might be just kind of nicely going along that you could take a chance then, of another quarterback.
Yeah, and let's be real. I mean, I think the Patriots, what they need to do is they need to trade 4 first-round picks for CJ Stroud. Just get CJ. Just get CJ. CJ's so good.
And throw in Jimmy G while you're there as well.
Yeah, throw in Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, Jimmy G, whatever they want. We'll give them everything. So, but yeah, let's get into your Seahawks. They lose again. Back-to-back losses. They are now officially outside the playoffs looking in. What's your thoughts on them?
I thought we kind of got screwed over by the refs, but then again, the Cowboys could probably say the same thing, that they got a lot of
I'm hearing that excuse every week from you.
No, it's not every week. Would you stop that? I've come out and said we're bad most weeks and Geno sucks, but Geno actually balled out and the receivers actually played well. Seahawks defense, yeah, it's I mean, we were able to go toe-to-toe with Dak, but I mean, Dak is balling out, to be fair, right now. I have to give him his flowers there. I mean, it's probably the best I've seen Dak and the most consistent I've seen him play. But the Seahawks defense is good. It's young. It's going places. I thought Geno and the wide receivers was really good. I thought there was some really, really bad calls that went against us, but there was way too many penalties in the whole game. I mean, after every single play, somebody was throwing a flag. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was crazy. I mean, yeah, we came up unlucky in the end. We were way more competitive than I thought we would be going into the game. So that's a positive, but we got the 49ers and the Eagles, and it's all doom and gloom for another couple of games, and we're not going to make the playoffs by the looks of things. So I'm in the same boat as you.
You never know.
No,
you never know.
We're not going to, unless we somehow beat the best team.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I were talking about it off the air. Obviously, I should have posted something, but I was talking to you. I was like, if the Eagles lose this week against the 49ers and the Cowboys win next week as well against the Eagles, then Cowboys and Eagles flip seedings, which is a huge one in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well can happen. I mean, would you say going into the game, Cowboys are favorites? I think so.
I think so very much. I think they are 100%. But you also can't forget, I mean, say the Cowboys do win, Eagles lose, 49ers win, Lions win, all these teams are 10-3. Now it's going to be the battle for the last couple of weeks on who's going to take that first seed.
Yeah. Makes it interesting. It's pretty good. I mean, the Lions were like, they got over the line. No, they got over the line eventually, and that was a good one. After being like 21 points up, though, they were slowly kind of blowing it, and then they got over the line. I mean, Derek Carr going down probably helped with Jameis going in there. But
The Lions almost lost. They almost choked that game.
They did. I mean, what's the story with the Falcons, man? They just suck as well. They're in there. I mean, like the legit teams are obviously the 49ers are there as well, obviously there. But the Cowboys, Eagles, you know what I mean, on that side, they're the totally legit teams there. The Lions, they're good, but they're not as good as them too.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Lions' remaining schedule. They got the Bears, should be an easy win, but it is a division game, so can't forget that. It was a close game when they last faced 31-26. Lions won. Another close game, I expect. Broncos, that one is a night game. That one's going to be a close one, primetime game. I think it's going to be a close one. Then you get the Vikings in 2 of the last 3 weeks. I think those are going to be close. Again, division games, Joshua Dobbs, Jay Jetta coming back. I think those are close. And then they also have the Cowboys in between those games on New Year's Eve. And I'm going to be honest. I mean, as much as I really love the Lions this year, they have a hard ending to the schedule, to the season.
Yeah, they do.
Those games are all losable games. I mean, the Lions personally, I think, should be better than 9-3, but they lost some games, and that's just unfortunate for the Lions because they should very much have the number 1 seed right now.
Yeah, well, they lost to us, which was like, now you kind of look and they go, that's a bad loss for the Lions. You know what I mean? It wasn't at the time because it was early in the season and everybody's trying to figure things out, but it's a bad one now. But I think they'll be fine, though. I think they'll be fine. I don't think they'll get the number 1 seed, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, no, they'll make playoffs, and they'll make playoffs very much easily, handfully, no doubt about it. But as for the number 1 seed, I think they had the number 1 seed and they lost it because of the games that they've lost. I mean, let's talk about the Packers quickly too. Packers sneaking into the 7th seed, pushing your Seahawks out of contention. We'll look at the wild card teams right now and the ones outside the bubble. Seahawks, you really don't think they got a chance? I mean, they're 6-6. They're tied with 2 other teams.
The Rams have beaten us twice, so they have that like the Rams went into the playoffs yesterday until the Packers won last night. So that's a big one. The Rams doing the double over us. So that's going to kill that. We need to make sure we get a better record, obviously, than them to have a chance. And then, like I said, the 2 games coming up, I don't see us winning either of them. So that puts us right on the back foot there. So yeah, I take the Seahawks out of it right now, unless somehow they can win at least one of them games. The Packers, I mean, Jordan, we're going to talk about Mr. Love a little bit later on, but
we're loving him.
We are loving him. Got to say that they're getting it going. It was a serious victory last night to put a stamp on to say that they could be a decent contender in the playoffs.
Let's be real. Love got rid of Katy Perry. He's no longer hot and cold. He's just hot.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely.
But no, I agree with you. Packers really strong of a team. Got to watch for Christian Watson. Obviously, he had that hamstring injury. Not too concerned though, because Love still balled out without Watson. Mm-hmm. But Vikings, they have to try and win towards the end of the season. But they also got those 2 games against the Lions. That's going to be tough to win. Packers, obviously, we talked about them already. Rams is an interesting one, and they can't forget about the garbage division. I mean, Buccaneers and Saints are still in it, and I do want to say the Panthers are officially eliminated. They're the first team to be eliminated from the playoffs.
Surprise.
Followed by the Patriots very, very soon. But Buccaneers and Saints, they still have a chance to win the division. So
bad. The Saints can't. Come on. They're just terrible. They like to give teams a lead and then go, oh, we'll try after that then. Bucks, yeah. I mean, I thought Baker Mayfield was doing okay this season until this weekend. He looked pretty crap. But besides that, he's been giving them a chance in every game. And what can you say about Mike Evans? Like, what's his 10th 1,000-yard season?
Yep.
Guy's a Hall of Famer. So yeah, I'd give them a chance. But like, I actually like them over the Falcons because
I'd rather see the Buccaneers in the playoffs than the Falcons. Indeed,
the Falcons' defense is pretty good. That's I would give them that. But I don't know what they're doing on offense. Every week, it's kind of like it's just a mess, and I don't think Ritter's that good either. So yeah, I'd definitely rather the Falcons or the Bucs get in.
I guess it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, we have the Cowboys locked in for at least Lions. Yeah. I mean, not the Lions, Cowboys or Eagles. No matter who wins that division, locked in
definitely
to a playoff spot. Steelers lost Kenny Pickett. He's officially going to be out for week 14. That's going to be interesting. Steelers, do they have a chance to make playoffs? I mean, it's up in the air right now with the Colts 7-5, Browns 7-5, Texans 7-5. I mean, there's so many of these teams 7-5. There's only gonna be one team that's gonna not be able to get in. And do you see one of the 4 teams not getting in? Out of your thoughts?
I don't like. Well, Steelers, they're going up against your Patriots. I mean, if you can actually score points this Thursday.
No, we don't want to win. We're done. We're done winning.
I know you don't want it for the draft, but I mean, for Bill Belichick, if they can get if he can get the team to actually score some points, I think you can beat the Steelers. The Colts, they've moved on from my Katy Perry hot and cold, because that's literally what Gardner Minshew is. 1 minute he does something brilliant, and the next minute he does something terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could see them falling. But like, it's interesting. These 3 teams don't have their starting quarterback. I mean, Steelers, Colts, Browns.
Isn't that sad?
And so it's crazy. I mean, Joe Flacco looked well. I think he looked really good.
Joe Flacco, he looks really good.
Yeah. So that's interesting to see if he can continue with that, because the offensive line's pretty good there and it's given them a lot of time. What about your on the bubble team there, the Texans? You were shouting for them for the playoffs. What do you think?
They're making it. They're going to make it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. They're making it.
I thought that was a serious kind of stamp against the Broncos that were in form, and they were off 5 unbeaten. And the defense pulled it out of the bag at the end for them, which was good to see, because it's usually been Stroud having to make the last ditch plays that get them the win. So I thought that was impressive. So yeah, I like them over the teams above.
The only big question mark now is who is the wide receiver 1 besides, well, Nico Collins, you could say he's a wide receiver 1, but Tank Dell obviously fractured fibula. He's out for the season, which sucks because I just traded for Tank Dell in a contending team league.
Is it Dynasty?
No, not Dynasty.
Oh man, you lost that big time then. Yeah, you lost that.
I lost him big time. I got DeAndre Swift and Tank Dell, and I think I got rid of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, you're going to feel that one, buddy, because Amon-Ra is probably the most consistent receiver this season.
Oh, yeah, I love Amon-Ra, but I also had Stephon Diggs, and the guy that I traded with didn't want Stephon Diggs, so I was okay with keeping Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
But I will say I do have DJ Moore and Michael Pittman as my backups. So
okay, Pittman's balling out this season.
Pittman is balling out, so he is going to be the next man up. But it just sucks because Tank Dell, it just had to happen that way.
No, and especially he was coming into the game, the calf strain, and it was like touch and go, he's going to play, and then he gets a serious injury. It's like, oh, it was terrible. Because like I said, I was thankful for Tank Dell on Thanksgiving weekend, and now it's all gone. So yeah, he's going to hurt some of my teams too. Yeah.
So it's just so sad. I mean, Dynasty, he's going to be jumping up the drafts in Dynasty and in redrafts next year.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't going to be giving Tank Dell up easy if you're trying to trade from a Dynasty. I mean, they're probably going to look for first round picks now, and he was a guy that was never on that radar.
Yeah. Looking at some of the last teams, I think this was the best week for the Bills that could have happened, because the Bills are still in contention, obviously, being 6-6. They're 1 game back. That's all, 1 game back. And I think it's just the fact that they're still in the bubble. They're 10th right now in the AFC, and they still have a chance. They could technically win it and not win it, but be in the playoffs next week. They win and a couple of teams lose.
Yeah, no, I was talking to a Bills fan the weekend, and he was saying the same thing. He was saying it was actually the one thing about not playing this week was like they didn't lose and they didn't really hurt, kind of their chances of getting to the playoffs. So he was saying their schedule's brutal, but he's still holding out hope. So I'd say most Bills fans are along them same lines.
Yeah, I think who do the Bills play next week? I'm trying to think who they play.
Let's see if I can pull it up in front of me.
Buffalo is playing Kansas City, which I think that's a winnable game for Buffalo.
Well, after this week, you'd say definitely, yeah. I mean,
but they do have a tough road ahead because the next 2 weeks, Chiefs, Cowboys, those they can lose. Chargers, they should win. They should win. Patriots, as much as I want to say it's a winnable game, they lost to the Patriots. That's a problem. Yeah. How do you lose to the Patriots? How? Why? Why are you giving us an extra win? We don't want an extra win.
There's something about the Patriots that always beat the Bills, even when the Patriots are terrible.
Yeah, and then they end off with what could be the spot for the division, which I don't think so because I think the Dolphins have it handfully, but the Dolphins in the last week.
Yeah, but they could beat the Chiefs. Like if you look,
they could
beat the Chiefs.
I don't think the Chiefs are that good this year.
No, their defense is what everybody was talking about, and then the Packers took it apart last night. Plus, they got loads of injuries, and then that offensive line was terrible. Mahomes was under pressure the whole game. So you take that one, and then say they lose to the Cowboys, and then they beat the Chargers. Say they beat the Patriots. I mean,
they're 9-7 right now.
Yeah, and then what? Say they lose to Miami. What's that then?
9-8.
Yeah, I mean,
but here's the thing: is 9-8 gonna get you in the playoffs?
Probably not, but it might give you a chance. It's going to be touch and go.
I mean, if the Bills move to the NFC, they'd be already in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that shows you the difference.
It's so sad to see, but
yeah.
So obviously, Jaguars Bengals play tonight. We'll have our Monday Night Football predictions tonight as well. After this, towards the end of the show, but Dolphins, Ravens, Jaguars, Chiefs, the division leaders. Who wins the division? What do you think? I mean, division. Who wins the number one spot?
Ravens, I think, will win.
I agree with you. I think the Ravens win it, but I'm also intrigued if the Jaguars win it this week too. I think the Jaguars could have a sneaky one to get the number one seed.
They definitely could. I just think the Ravens are overall the best team on offense and defense. Them three. I mean, Miami score points all day because they have Tyreek Hill, but their defense isn't that good. Jags, they've kind of been going along nicely. They haven't been doing anything brilliant on offense or in defense, but they're going about their business well and winning games. So I think I don't know if they'll get a top seed, but I think they're going to be sneaky in the playoffs. I don't think they'd want to play them.
Are you nervous that Ravens aren't going to be as good even with Mark Andrews really out, like officially out?
I think you'll see more. They'll probably get Likely involved more, and I think we've seen the last day. Zay Jones was the man for Lamar. I think they have enough weapons. I think if they start losing a few more receivers, then they're in trouble. And Lamar can always run as well, just a bit more. So I think they're fine. For now.
Okay. Well, that's our playoff picture as of week 13 without Monday Night Football. Going through a couple more injuries that we didn't get to talk about yet is Ramondre Stevenson day-to-day. He's questionable for week 14. Wouldn't be surprised if he is out for week 14. Brian Robinson, hamstring injury day-to-day. I'm not worried. It's a bye week so for them. Cardinals and Commanders both on bye weeks. And
it's the last one, right? It's the last bye week, right?
Yes, last bye week, Cardinals, Commanders, that's it. And then after that, everybody plays. I do know some teams that have some leagues that have playoffs this week. Why are you doing that? I don't know.
We're in one of them, I think. We are in one of them. That's how we
are. We are, and I don't understand why. Should not be this week, especially with teams still being on bye. That should not be a thing. So if you're in a league that has a week 14 playoff start, tell your commissioner that they have a problem. But anyways, some other players that are in concussion protocol now. 3 big players: Derrick Henry, Amari Cooper, Tyler Higbee. Just kind of monitor that this week. That's really the biggest concerns, is just monitor, because they have to go through that 5-step process, and we'll see what happens with them.
Apparently, I'll just get in there. Vrabel has come out and said that Derrick Henry is not in concussion protocol.
That's right. Even though he's supposed to be, he's not.
So I don't know how that's going to play out. So we'll be talking later about that and see how.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it. But I think Derrick Henry should be.
He should be. Yeah.
Let's be real. The Titans, they're going nowhere. No,
they're going nowhere. And plus, though, like if you're looking from the
give Tajay Spears a chance. Derrick Henry's old.
Exactly, but if you're looking from the league point of view, they took him out in the fourth quarter, and he didn't go back in the game. So the league clearly has to be worried about that, to say like there was something up, because it was a tight game. They wanted to win. You know what I mean? It went to overtime. You need your best player out there, and he didn't go back into the game. So it's definitely something strange about that.
Yeah, and all you got to do is get the spear, put the spear over Derrick Henry jersey onto the clipboard, and boom, pin him. Put a pin on it. Tajay Spears time. But let's get into our waivers. Just before we get into it, of course, use code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy. They'll match first deposit up to $100. Keith obviously is going to get the toilet bowl trophy this year in one of our leagues. So I'll be
It's
sure.
not going to be me. It's going to be you.
I think it's going to be you. So be sure to also go get that on trophysmack.com/sportstimehq. But let's get into our waiver wire quarterbacks. Who are we loving, Keith? Who are we loving?
We have to love Jordan Love after last night. I mean, we talked about him a lot, and we said about his Katy Perry hot and cold, but like you said earlier, this is just hot all the way. True for 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, over 23 fantasy points. To me, it was his best performance of the season. I think he just looked great. I think the whole Packers offense looked great. Obviously, the shame about Watson, but just want to monitor. Hopefully, he's not too bad. They have the Giants next week. I believe it's Monday Night Football. They're at them. The Giants have generally not been that great for quarterbacks fantasy-wise, but I'm not afraid of playing Love because if you've watched the last 3 games and, the early part of the season, you would have thought he is definitely, the next Packers quarterback for years to come. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the matchup. I love Jordan Love this week.
Not 1, not 2, but possibly 3 franchise quarterbacks back to back for the Packers.
It's crazy. I can't think of the number, but I think the Cleveland Browns had something crazy amount of. So in the years that it's only been 3 quarterbacks, I guess the Cleveland Browns have had like number of quarterbacks.
Browns have had millions of them.
Yeah, exactly. I forget exactly what the number was, but like it could have been 50, could have been whatever. But it's crazy to think that it's only been like 3 quarterbacks for years and years there in Green Bay.
Yeah, Jordan Love is great. I mean, I'm McLovin this pick. I mean, he's really good. He's a really good player. He was my guy last week, and he's obviously your guy this week again. So he's constantly getting back on the board for us in the waivers. I think personally he just needs to be that guy that needs to be owned over 70%, which sucks for us because then we don't get to talk about him. But I think he does need to be picked up in over 70% of leagues.
Definitely. He's 63% owned. I mean, come on. Like there's definitely people in 1 quarterback leagues that are struggling with the quarterback position or they're trying to stream. Just go get Love and put him in and let him do his thing. Go
get it. Because you know what? You're going to McLove that pick off the waivers. I'll go with my guy, Matthew Stafford. He was your guy a couple weeks ago, and you haven't really talked about him really since. I don't know if you just have the hate for him now after that 1 week that he did really do that good. But he's 50.8% owned, just under 23 points this past week. Obviously listed as a QB18 right now in fantasy, so he doesn't really give you that like shiny new bling bling for your quarterback position. But if you really look at the last couple of weeks, I mean, he's been a top 10 quarterback those last 2 weeks, averaging just over 23 points. He took on the Browns, which is roughly the best defense for quarterbacks this season by far. I mean, they're averaging, I think, 12 or 13 points a game to quarterbacks. And you see him put up just under 23 points this week against that. He goes on to face Baltimore this week, who's another tough defensive matchup. But if you can get 23 points on the best defense, you can put up another 20 or so points against the number 2 defense in the league against quarterbacks. So I think Matthew Stafford is a solid pickup in my opinion. He doesn't really give you that rushing ability, but he gives you the passing offense ability with the amount of players he has that he can throw to.
So I haven't gone off on Stafford. To go back to your original question, I actually like Stafford. But the problem is this matchup. I think Baltimore's defense is too good and it's going to get to Stafford. So I'm not, I mean, it's be more of a desperation play for me, I think. Don't get me wrong, I like the weapons in Nakua and Cooper Kupp, and like that's obviously played a big factor last week. But I just think the Ravens coming off a bye week and they're going to be fresh. I think they could feast on Stafford. So in a deep league maybe, but I'm not overly in love with this pick. Sorry, Fernando.
It's okay. It's okay. Because you know what? A couple weeks ago, I wasn't really liking the Stafford pick as well. So
maybe it's a Stafford thing. We'll just go with
it must be just a Stafford thing. It's that hot and cold type of player, you know. You either like him or you don't like him that 1 week. So, but Stafford, Love, our top 2 quarterbacks for this week to go get. Some alternate quarterbacks Russell Wilson, he's kind of been up here for a little bit now, 18.8 points. Got a tough matchup this upcoming week. Geno Smith, number one quarterback this week, really 31 points, balling. Minshew Magic putting up numbers. And I really almost put Joe Flacco as my waiver wire quarterback, but I just couldn't do it just yet. But Joe Flacco is a guy to watch. Watch out for Joe Flacco because he could be sneaking into your rosters and help you win a fantasy championship if you really need a quarterback.
Man, yeah, two quarterback deep leagues, definitely. I'm sure Joe Flacco's not on the waiver wires in them leagues. But going off this, I can't get on Geno because we're against the 49ers.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Can't get on. I think we're going to be swept again by them. Rams beat us twice. I think the 49ers are going to beat us again. It's doomsday in Seattle. I just can't get on him. Russ, I like what Russ has been doing. I think he was unlucky. Like if he throws a touchdown instead of the interception at the last play of the game to win the game, and obviously his fantasy points are higher than what they are there. Which he still didn't have a bad week. So I can definitely get on him. Gardner Minshew, I just can't trust. I mean, I'd need to be, if I'm in a one quarterback league, I need to be desperate, I think, because you just don't know what he'd get.
100%.
He could get you 30 points or he could get you 5. Like, he's just so hard to predict.
Alec Pierce was balling. He was balling.
He's
magic.
Starting to come out, and I was reading a good article today. Reggie Wayne's the wide receiver coach there, and he's starting to get the best out of every single wide receiver there. So that's interesting, and that's pretty good. Obviously, going to be good when Richardson gets back. And then Joe Flacco, I always kind of mentioned. I definitely in Superflex
17.2 points with your 10th start since 2019.
It's pretty good.
I think Joe Flacco is the best quarterback on the Browns right now that could lead the team to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, whatever about Watson going off the boil, I know he's injured, but what's left there? Yeah, Joe Flacco's.
If Joe Flacco keeps playing well, hot take, but if Joe Flacco keeps playing well, I think Flacco could be better than Watson to end the year.
You think?
In the game span this season.
It's a very hot take. I mean, we'll see what happens this week. If you can repeat and at least provide 70 fantasy points this week, I think people kind of go, okay, I'm getting some good value here in my deeper leagues or super flex. But I definitely think he's that type of option. He's definitely 2 quarterback deep leagues, but he's pretty good to pick up. But other than that, if I was to pick someone else, it'd be Russ.
Yeah, of course, Flacco's 6.8% owned, so he can get him in deep leagues for sure. But those are some alternate quarterback options. Let's go into our running backs. Keith, I'll start with my guy. He's been balling the last 2 weeks, and you might really not like him because he's probably on the worst team in the NFL this year. But Chuba Hubbard, 68.8% owned, so he's just under that 70% owned bar. 22.4 points this past week. 25 attempts, 104 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Guess what? He had no catches, no receiving yards, receptions, targets, nothing. Top 12 running back in the last 2 weeks, averaging 21 points in those weeks. He takes on New Orleans, where he put up 10 points earlier this season. Doesn't really give you that much of hope to start him. But guess what? That was from the air. Obviously, Miles Sanders is not the guy there in Carolina. Chuba is the main guy for running back. So now not only is he going to get the air yards and air receiving opportunities against New Orleans, he's going to get that rushing game as well. He's the RB1 in Carolina, and I am not worried on starting him at all this week.
Yeah, no, I like this pick. I mean, from what I've seen of Chuba Hubbard, I mean, some of the runs were just hard-nosed runs up the middle. People were pulling him back, and he was just like fighting his way through them. Like the offensive line was helping him at times, but not always. He was having to make the gaps himself. So I thought he looked really good. They're an awful team, but I mean, this is the way forward. You need to slow down the game. You need to, run the ball to give time then to open up your passing attack. Because we've seen Adam Thielen go cold the last few weeks. So I like the pick on Chuba. I'm surprised he's not over the 70% marks, especially with the running back market is not exactly hot in the waivers. I mean, there's not a lot out there, so I'm surprised he's not over 70%.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that he was 68.8% owned. I mean, it was just shocked me.
Yeah, I mean, there's an RB2 for some teams, depending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not everybody has two great starting running
I'm
backs.
starting him over Najee Harris and
Yeah,
Jalen Warren.
I can see it. Yeah, definitely see that. I mean, the only thing with them guys this week, maybe Warren over Najee, is that they might go heavy on the run because it's Trubisky. But then again, your Patriots are pretty good on D, so yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. But let's talk about your running back. Who are you throwing the spear into the waiver wire pool to go pick up this week?
I'm going with Tajay Spears, even though we heard the news that Derrick Henry isn't in the concussion protocol, even though he should be. But still, I still think he's going to be valuable to pick up because we don't know what's going to happen. You know, maybe Derrick Henry gets symptoms after, that can happen like days after, and he ends up going in. But he's still a good guy to have. He put up just over 12 fantasy points last week. He came in for most of the fourth quarter when Henry went out of the game. But he rushed 16 times for 75 yards overall. It's not too bad. I like him. I like what I see. He's been a nice kind of compliment. Henry's been healthy as well. And he gets work in the passing game. So I think he's a decent guy to pick up, and you can probably put him in your flex anyways if you think if Henry's fit anyways. But I would play him this week as well.
Yeah, I mean, if he does end up starting, if Henry does start next game, he's not 100%. He's not 100%.
Yeah.
And if he does not start, then Tajay Spears to the moon, because I think he's actually a really good running back in that offense, to be honest with you. And he just can't get the opportunity because Derrick Henry is there. But Derrick Henry is there. I still would not be surprised if Tajay Spears gets some action, and they kind of split the workload, in my opinion, in that whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's eventually going to happen with Henry anyways. I mean, I was going to ask you, do you think what do you make of Derrick Henry? Do you think he's finally started to slow down, or do you think he looks the same?
There was some runs that I saw like that he still looks really good, but I mean, the age is going to come to him, and I think you kind of see it here this season a little bit, but I still think he's a really good running back. I just don't know if he's in the best situation because, to be honest with you, the Titans are just brutally terrible.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought start of the season, I was like, ooh, maybe we're thinking he's starting to slow down a little. Then, you see the start of this week's game and all that, and he looked great. But I do think it is going to come into more of a timeshare with Henry going forward, especially if Tajay Spears is going to look as good as he has.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting what they're going to do in the offseason too, because is Henry a free agent after this year?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But if he is, I would not be surprised if they let him walk.
They might, or like a 1-year deal type of thing, or
Nah, I don't really see. I don't see them. I don't really see Derrick Henry being if he is coming back.
Yeah.
He's got that 4-year deal. He's signed through 2023. This is his final season.
Okay. So they're probably gonna, I don't know, they're gonna let it run it down, not gonna offer him anything and see what happens let him go out in the open market. Well, then they could hand it over to Spears.
I think Spears is the guy. I think you give it to Spears.
Yeah, so. I mean, the Titans aren't going anywhere fast. You might as well try and do a rebuild or some sort.
Because best case scenario for Henry, for him staying as a Tennessee Titan, is they're probably going to just offer him a franchise tag, and I don't think you want that. Running backs don't want that.
No, and if I was Henry, you're probably happy not to go back to the Titans and try and see if a Super Bowl contender.
Or the Patriots.
Well, you're not a Super Bowl contender, no way.
We can be. Just give us 1 year. Just give us 1 year. We can turn it around.
And Jimmy G, they're going to turn it into a
Henry, Jimmy G, Marvin Harrison. Come on now. That doesn't sound that bad.
Doesn't. It won't get you.
No, it won't. But anyways, Chuba Hubbard, Tajay Spears are 2 top running back ads of the week. Some alternates, Antonio Gibson, just watch out for the bye week, of course. So if you can stash him, go stash him. Ezekiel Elliott, I said him because of the fact that Ramondre Stevenson is day-to-day. Just watch for him. I don't think he's going to play this week. If he doesn't, go get Zeke because we know Zeke can score points. And he didn't do so bad this past week. Got you 13.2 fantasy points. Kenneth Gainwell was kind of just a dart throw, on my opinion. DeAndre Swift obviously is there, but Gainwell, he got some receiving yards, and you just kind of see that whole offense. Now I'm concerned on Swift. Can Swift keep being productive because he's kind of been single-digitating the last 2 weeks? But just watch for Kenny Gainwell if you can stash him in deeper leagues. DJ Dallas is an interesting one. 0% owned, and he didn't score much, 0.6 points. And the reason why I put him on there is Keith knows Kenneth Walker's still injured. He might be back week 14. We don't know that officially. Zach Charbonnet also got injured. The next man up is DJ Dallas. And that is, I think, if Zach Charbonnet is out, I think DJ Dallas is one of the top ads for the week in alternate running backs besides Zeke.
Yeah, just obviously, I've already said it, we're against the Niners, so it's a tough game. But yeah, he's definitely one to look at. The one I like here is Zeke, though. Zeke has not looked that bad. I don't really know why the Cowboys were very quick to move off him. People were saying last year he sucked and Pollard was the best thing, but there's been a few weeks there when Pollard hasn't got a touchdown or hasn't looked great at all. So now it's like, oh, now Tony Pollard has not been the first round pick or the second round pick that he should be. So I think you just got to be careful about what you think of these guys, because I think in the right system, these guys still look pretty good. So I like Zeke out of this, especially if Ramondre isn't going to be playing this week.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on this. Before we get into our wide receivers, obviously, who are you starting next week? Zach Moss or Calvin Ridley? I think this one's an easy one for me.
Oh, it's Moss or Ridley rest of the season, is it? Or
rest of the season? Yeah, I think it's Ridley rest of the season.
I got two ways of looking at it. I would say if I'm in a full PPR league, it's definitely Ridley. If I'm in a half, I would lean on Moss just because of the running back situation.
Yeah, but how many leagues are you actually in half PPR leagues?
Oh, my main league is half, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, my big one that's like big money league is half PPR, yeah.
Really? I don't really play in that many half PPR leagues.
No. Yeah, I definitely play in more PPR, but like I'd say out of the top of my head, I think of about 9, say, redraft leagues. I would say it's probably 5 and 4. So, and then all my dynasties are PPR, but like the redraft leagues are like 5 full PPR and then 4 half. So yeah.
Now, even if you have ETN, are you still taking Ridley?
Yeah, I would.
I would.
I mean, it's a high powered offense. I mean, I get
Ridley scoring points every week.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it like the way I always do, depending on teams. Like the ball can only go to one of them at one time, but the offense is that high power between Etienne and Ridley. You're talking about the 2 top guys there. I mean, I know Christian Kirk adds in, and they got Ingram and stuff like that, but Ridley had no fantasy points at halftime last week, and then still went off for like 17 or whatever he got after that. So it's still Trevor Lawrence is still balling out. I'd still stick with what I said. If it's full PPR, I'd still go Etienne Ridley there.
Here's the trade: Zach Moss, Rashee Rice, Javonte Williams for Calvin Ridley.
It's a lot.
Do
you need Moss and Javonte? Like, do you need 2 running backs? And Rashee Rice, because
here's the thing: are you getting Ridley or are you getting rid of Ridley? Because if you're getting Ridley, I'm fine sending those players away for Ridley.
Rashee Rice he'd look good, but not for fantasy. I like Javonte, and I think Moss, we've already seen him do well, and he's going to do well the rest say fantasy season because of Taylor being out. I just don't know whether you need both. I'd rather get a better wide receiver back if I was the one sending Ridley away. Do you know what I mean?
Like if you're the one getting rid of Ridley, I would rather get better people.
Yeah, I definitely want a better wide receiver in there. Like kick out Moss or kick out Javonte and give me a way better wide receiver. That's what I'd do. So on the bones of that, I'd keep Ridley.
Yeah, he said those are his backup players. So I'm fine getting
Oh,
rid
if
of
there's
Moss.
backup players, yeah, get rid of them then. And
Yeah, get rid of him. Go get yourself a wide receiver 1, strong wide receiver 2 for Ridley. That's what I'm saying. I like Ridley, so I'll take him. He's kind of been hot and cold, but towards the last 2 weeks he's been a top 12 wide receiver. So
he's
I think
getting into form at the right time for fantasy. If you're making a stretch down the playoffs here, like we've only got next week and then we're into playoffs really. So he's coming good at the right time. So they're the type of players you look for.
Yeah, and Zach Moss is the starter right now with JT out for a while. So I think you can get some good haul because Zach Moss can produce. He was what, a running back 6 at one point earlier in the season.
He's obviously pretty good at running back, and there's going to be definitely running back needy teams out there.
Exactly.
That will take Moss and Javonte off your hands. I don't even know if you want to throw in Rashi if you want, but you could probably just go up to 2 running backs and get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go into our wide receivers, and let's start with you, Keith. Who are you looking at?
Mr. Dubes, Romeo Dobbs. I think we've had him. If he hasn't been on the alternatives, he's definitely been on this before.
Well, any Green Bay player has. I think there's been a Green Bay player every week.
We should call this the Green Bay show because this is what this year has been.
It really has.
Yeah, it's kind of odd because other than Love, we weren't exactly loving anyone else. For say the first half of the season, then all of a sudden we're gotten into everyone else. But yeah, Romeo Dobbs is my wide receiver. Christian Watson's gone down, like you said earlier, monitored the injury, but 5 targets, 4 receptions, 72 yards, 11 fantasy points. Not exactly lighting up the world, but he did lead the Packers last night in yardage. We've said it before on the show. He has the connection with Love. I think he is his favorite target. People say Watson going back and that's where he's going, but Watson, I've always said it, he's very touchdown dependent, where Dobbs is not. Dobbs gets the air yards, he gets the targets. If Watson is going to miss some time with the injury, look for Dobbs to take over the main role again, and I think he'll be good going forward. Giants, they're playing this week, like I mentioned already, with Love. Give up a lot of points to wide receivers, so I think he's a good play this week.
Here's my question to you, because you had Jaden Reed last week.
Mm-hmm.
Are you starting Reed or are you starting Dobbs this week?
I'd start both, to be honest, especially if Watson's not playing.
If you had to pick one, though. If you had to pick one.
Are we saying...
It's a tough decision because they're both really good.
Are we saying Watson's playing or not?
We're saying Watson's not playing.
I'm starting Romeo Dobbs because I just think he goes in as the automatic wide receiver 1.
I agree with you. With that. So, but I love Romeo Dobbs. I think we both loved the Green Bay, talking about the Green Bay show here. Romeo Dobbs has been great. Jaden Reed's been great. Christian Watson, I was hoping he did terrible last night to beat Karina, my social media manager, but she beat me once again this week. Twice in our dynasty. I've only gotten 3 losses and 2 of them has been from her. So just can't beat her.
That's graceful. That's because I tried to trade her. I wanted to kind of walk her off her, and it might be the same league, and she has still yet to respond. And that was, I don't even know if the season has started yet. Tell her she needs to respond.
Which league is this? Is this Debbie League?
It's one of the leagues. She's got a team in. I'm not doing that great. You're probably good. I don't know, but yeah.
I'm always doing good in our leagues, except for our redraft cup league. Our sports time redraft. I just can't. I can't be bothered with that league. I can't believe I out of the playoffs in it. It's just so annoying because I have Patrick Mahomes, Puka Nacua. Let's get our Puka Nacua segment underway.
Have to get it in. I'm pretty sure that was a draft you said you were taking a chance in. That's why if we were doing lots of drafts, not paid off.
I took a big chance in it. But I love Romeo Dobbs. Let's go with my guy with Elijah Moore. And the reason why I'm heavily on Elijah Moore this week is because of the fact Amari Cooper is in concussion protocol. They don't know if he's really going to be ready this upcoming week. And if he isn't, sky's the limit for Elijah Moore. And we saw that Joe Flacco liked to throw it to him. 12 targets. Here's the problem. He only had 4 receptions, 83 yards. Not only that, he still got you a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 day, 12.3 points, 48.6% owned, going against Jacksonville. He's had 21 targets this past 2 weeks, only 7 receptions. if he can get those passes to be thrown towards him and actually to him where he can catch the ball, then Elijah Moore can do something and he can get a lot of yards after catch. But he's getting the targets from the quarterback play with Flacco in and Cooper maybe out. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, I think you covered most of the bases there. I mean, I don't mind the points he got this week, and I'll tell you why. Nobody knew what was going to happen with Flacco. I mean, I think most people thought he was going to look absolutely terrible, and it'll be all just handoffs to the running back. But like Cooper got a share while he was out there, and Elijah Moore got a share. So I like that. Like if I put him in as a flex, and he got me 12 points, I'd be like,
can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll take it exactly. So I like it. I think you said it all. He looked like he had a decent connection with Flacco. Things have started to, took off well. And if Amari Cooper is out, he probably slots in as the wide receiver 1 there. And like you said, sky's the limit. Never know what's going to happen.
Elijah Moore to the moon. Let me get some more shares.
Heard to hear first. He'll go out and get 1 point now.
Yeah, that's how it happens. No, that's only Taysom Hill vibes. But Elijah Moore and Romeo Doubs are top 2 wide receivers. Look at some other players. Brandon Cooks, big name player that's getting some hype, but that's because he's been very touchdown dependent. So if you are taking a risk on him, the only way he becomes relevant is he gets a touchdown. Some other ones, Curtis Samuel. It's been brutal out here in the wide receiver world for under 70% owned this week. Curtis Samuel up there with 10.5 points. Jonathan Mingo, another guy, he's been showing some courage, to get some points. 12.9 points. Threw in Xavier Gibson, 12.8 points. He came in as a wide receiver 3 in that offense for the Jets, and he ended up getting you 12.8 points, 0% owned. I mean, if you're in desperate need of wide receivers and it's a very deep league, Xavier Gibson's an interesting guy because no one really knows about him. He's his name's been thrown up here and there throughout the season on live television, but in fantasy, you don't really hear much about him. So I kind of threw him in there. But Alan Lazard's really been MIA. He doesn't really show up to that team for any type of snaps, really.
He's been inactive, I think.
But this was his first week back and only 2 targets, no receptions. So Xavier Gibson, I think, is the wide receiver 2 right now there. He's behind Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, Gibson's a speedster.
He is.
I think he's probably one of them sneaky plays. If you have him in Dynasty, you might be onto something there, in the next year or so with, say, Rodgers coming back or whoever. I like what I see from him. But the obvious one that stands out here that you'd want is Brandon Cooks. I mean,
yes.
What can you say? Dak is rolling. You want every bits and pieces of that offense right now. So yeah, Brandon Cooks here. Surprise again. Another one that surprised me, but there's always one that is not over 70%. So there's a lot of him out there. But there's a team I want to talk about that I think we'll be talking about next week, or at least players from. It's the Texans with Tank Dell going down. Nico Collins obviously being the star man. I mean, Woods did nothing this week. Noah Brown did nothing this week. And Schultz, Mechie did nothing this week. So some of them have to come to the fore because it can't just be the Nico Collins show because he'll eventually get double teamed and that'll be that. So I think next week we might be talking about some Texans players.
I think we'll be talking about some Texan players, but I don't think we're going to be talking about wide receivers, which will go into our tight ends. And it's a good segue. Good segue. I have him right now as the alternate tight end option, but I will throw his name out there because he actually was the guy that I was going to have this week. It's Brevin Jordan. Yeah, you even said it. Yeah, you knew it. I mean, Brevin Jordan, 9.4 points. He had some good receiving yards, some receptions. He got some targets. Dalton Schultz was obviously out this week, but I think if Dalton Schultz comes back in, I don't know if I'm going to see too much from Brev. I think we're going to still see a certain amount of stuff with Brevin Jordan because it looks like CJ Stroud does like him. And if you really look at the depth chart, I think Brevin Jordan is like, I don't know, tight end 3, 4 on that depth chart, even though he didn't show it on the field. So I think Brevin Jordan is going to be that next man up. But realistically, it's going to be Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Brevin Jordan, Dalton Schultz. Those are the main 4, I think, for next week if you're in Houston, if you're looking at Houston players.
I like Jordan coming out of the draft a couple of years ago.
I did too.
Yeah,
he was a third-round pick, I think, too.
He was. I was ashamed he's not seen more because I like his talent. I think he's a sneaky dark throw. That's probably about it. Like you
Dark
said,
horse.
like it definitely helps Tank Dell going down, and then kind of the inconsistencies of the other guys. I know Brown was only back from injury, but I don't think he even got on the field a whole lot. Mechie, we haven't seen a whole lot of. I mean, you can definitely make a case for Jordan to get a bigger role, or to be better in fantasy, definitely. But it's definitely kind of a dark throw.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll get into our actual tight end ads of the week. Keith, I'll start with you because you got a guy back to back now.
I'm going to let you do the honors because you love his name so much. So, Fernando, please tell me who I'm picking because you want to say his first name.
Chigoziem Okonkwo.
There you go. See, you just love that. Ever since you were the one that put him on the map last year on this.
Yeah, I put him on the map. I'm glad people are saying that.
It was at the end of the season as well. You put him on the map on Sports Thing HQ. So yeah, I'll let you do the honors there. But yeah, Chigga Okonkwo. I had him last week. I had him again this week. 6 targets, 3 receptions, 62 yards. He got over 9 fantasy points. I mean, I think that's very fine for a tight end. But what I
nowadays,
yeah, definitely nowadays. I mean, Kelsey hasn't even been scoring touchdowns. What's going on there? But what
a little swifty mess.
That's it. And she turned up last night and everything. She went all the way to Green Bay in the snow.
Just to watch Kelsey lose.
To watch him lose and not even score. I mean, it must have been a bad night for them. But back to Okonkwo, the reason why I like him is next 4 games, Miami, Houston, Seattle, and then Houston again, all teams that give up points to the tight end position. So I think he's a guy that you could maybe play out the rest of your season with if you're struggling at tight end, and he could do okay for your team.
Yeah, I like the shout on Okonkwo. It's just these tight ends are just so hard, and if you don't have like Kelsey or, I mean, TJ Hawkinson, if you don't really have these top name guys, Laporta, if you don't have those high top name guys, you're scrambling to find tight ends, and you're lucky to get 8-9 points. So if you get that 8-9 point range, like minimum, then you already won your week for the tight end position. I say it every week because it's just a true fact. You just can't unless you have that top guy. And I think we're going to see tight ends go even earlier next year because it's just tight ends are just so hard to come by. Yeah,
I mean, I'd say obviously Kelsey sticks around. You'll still have him. He might go the first round now. He might slip to the second because it depends how.
Laporta.
But I think that's what I was going to say. Laporta, Kincaid, these guys are going to start going at least second round, third round.
Skyrocket.
They're going to go all the way up. And then, you're going to have the mid-round guys, maybe Goddard in there. Who knows what happens to Dalton Schultz if he ends the season good. These guys, TJ Hawkinson. So, yeah, I think like you said, people are going to really prioritize the position just because you want a guy that you want to just put in there, leave, and not have to touch it. Because when you have to go to waiver wires all the time, it's terrible.
It's a brutal life. And the fact that the brutal life is leaving Isaiah Likely in the waivers is criminal. In that high-powered offense, that's a problem. Did you forget about him? He had a bye week. You must have forgot about it, clearly. But obviously, the first game without Andrews 2 weeks ago, he had 6 targets, 4 receptions, 40 yards, 8 points. But Jackson's going to look at him more. I think Lamar Jackson's going to find him more. He's going to find the end zone. It was his first game after the Mark Andrews injury, realistically, that he started. Give it some time. You give tight ends time. Give him some love. Give him some time. Go get him. Because you know what? He's not even 50% owned. He's 42.1% owned. Everyone must have been forgetting about Isaiah Likely because, I mean, he's in a high-powered offense, so he's going to get something. Who's the other guy besides Zay Flowers there? Odell Beckham? Mr. Old Man with a cane? I mean, let's be real. It's likely that he's going to score more points, Isaiah.
Well played. I think, I would say after the waivers go through, you'll see the percentage go all the way up. I think maybe people drop them thinking, or because of the bye week, needing players, you know what I mean? Maybe that was the factor. But, I go with you. I think he needs to be the percentage needs to go way up. He needs to be more. Yeah. It's a high-powered offense. He's going to get his targets in the end zone. He's going to get touchdowns. I think he could be one of them that is going to be a league winner for someone to pick him up off the waivers late because of the Andrews injury.
And if he gets over 70%, and if he does really good next week, We're going to be talking about him next week again. And hopefully we don't. But hopefully we do at the same time because
makes our life easier.
To talk to. Yeah, it makes our life easier. But Isaiah Likely, Chigozie Okonkwo are 2 tight ends. You look at the other players, and not mentioning Taysom Hill because I didn't want him in my top waiver wire tight end, but Taysom Hill is in the alternates because he scored you another great week, 15.4 points, and I'm not going to do the mistake on having him be my top tight end this week. Brevin Jordan, we've already touched upon. Harrison Bryant is a good shout with 15.9 points, 0% owned. So obviously we do know Njoku's the top guy, but Bryant is that guy there as a tight end too. Maybe Joe Flacco likes to throw to tight ends. Gerald Everett, another guy there, 8.4 points.
Where do we go? We already talked about Brevin Jordan, like you said. Taysom Hill. I think I have to.
Here's the thing: if Derek Carr is out, Taysom Hill you don't start.
No, you don't. If it's going to be Jameis, well, yeah, not going to happen. He's just going to air it out every time unless they put, Taysom in packages around the goal line.
Exactly.
Run him in. But yeah, you don't play him. Harrison Bryant is like a dart throw sneaky play because, like you said, Flacco is going to use the short down distance guys, so Njoku, Bryant, to get where he wants to go. Jared Everett, he's generally pretty consistent when he's fit and healthy. It's just he gets banged up a lot. So it just depends there. And if I was taking one of these guys with Joe Flacco, I might take a chance on Harrison Bryant just for upside.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually debating between Harrison Bryant and Brevin Jordan, but then I realized that Isaiah Likely was still in the waivers, and I thought it was criminal.
Yeah, definitely. You made the right choice
but
there.
Those are, and of course, those are our alternate tight end options. Let's go to our final segment, Monday Night Football predictions. Something that I cannot stand, and I hope that we don't have next year because I cannot win a single game. I say it every single week. It's just annoying. It's so annoying now. I say, I should just pick the other team because you know what? I picked this team and this team's going to win. But then the other team actually wins. Why? I think Monday Night Football is cursed for me.
It is. And I love the way it's like this segment's going. I came up with this segment, but I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to take my ball and get out of here.
We're going to roll out. Yeah, I just what did you say in the beginning of the before we went live? You said something. Monday night something. Monday Night Misery? Is that what it was?
Monday Night Misery, Monday Night Madness. I said
Monday Night Madness. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Either way, the record is madness because my overall record is really good. And I think if I smash the Monday Night Football, my record would be even better. But I cannot win for my life on Monday Night Football.
No, I don't know.
I'm going to get to double digits by the time you get double-digit losses by the time you get to double-digit wins.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
We'll see. I don't know. But tonight, Cincinnati, Jacksonville. Obviously, Katie wants Cincinnati, and obviously you love Cincinnati. So by law, you're going to pick Cincinnati tonight.
So obviously you're picking Jacksonville. So that's what I'm going to do too and pick Jacksonville Jaguars to win 23-10.
23-10?
Yeah. You
have no faith for the Bengals?
Not in Jacksonville with Browning and maybe AJ McCarron. So I've seen he was taken up to the roster today. I don't.
Wow.
No, I don't. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Wow. I already told Katie this yesterday, what the score was going to be, what I had predicted to give her a heads up, so it didn't get the backlash.
So she doesn't turn around and hit you with a frying pan?
Exactly. And she's making dinner right now. So I was like, yes, I do not want to get hit with a frying pan. So, she already knows that's how it's going to go. Well, she wants to win, I know, and she'll be rooting for them. I won't be rooting against them necessarily. I'm just going with who I think will win.
I really wish that you guys had a fake frying pan, like a fluffy one from your dog, and she just came on camera and just whacked you with it.
Yeah,
that would make the whole show.
We just post it everywhere then.
Oh yeah, had to. It'd be the funniest thing ever, But as much as I would love to help Katie out, I'm also going with the Jaguars. Jaguars are my number 2 team. They've always been my number 2 team ever since Leonard Fournette got drafted there. But 30-20 is the final score. I think it's going to be more high scoring, in my opinion. But I do think
Browning's going to score 20 points.
Listen, they have Jamar.
Unless they run the ball.
They have Jamar. They have Joe Mixon. They got is T. Higgins back tonight?
T. Higgins is back tonight.
Yeah, T. Higgins is back. So there it is. I mean, boom.
I'm not playing. In one league, I'm being tactical too, though. So I'm winning by 27 points. I'm against Trevor Lawrence and T. Higgins. And I can only play either Jamar or Ridley. So I'm being tactical and picking Ridley. Yeah.
Ridley.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Well, I can't come back towards you, but who knows? Maybe we'll have like a week 17 spectacular to see who, or week 18. Week 18, there's no Monday Night Football. Maybe we'll have a week 17 spectacular, and we'll have a bunch of games that we can predict.
Maybe we can do that. Yeah.
So I can have a chance to come back.
There you go. Yeah.
But we'll see. Obviously, I'm not looking too good, but maybe I'll get my 6th win of the year for Monday Night Football, and maybe, unfortunately, you'll get your 10th win of the year. Or, the Bengals just might break my heart again and just get another win on Monday Night Football.
If it do, you have to just give up. If the Bengals win tonight, you have to stop. The predictions stop next week. We're just not predicting.
Yeah.
This is not happening.
Or I'll just have to go against my actual predictions from every week now. We'll see. But who knows? But 23-10 Jaguars for Keith, 30-20 Jaguars for me for tonight. We'll see what happens. But if you haven't done so already, be sure to use code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy. Keith, hot over or under on Trevor? No, actually, you know what? We'll do Calvin Ridley. Over under half a touchdown. Do you think Calvin Ridley will score a touchdown this week?
Yep, that's one.
I'm going to take the lower. I think it's going to be more of a run game for Travis Etienne. So I think there's going to be more on that. And Jamar Chase, I'm going to go with 7.5 higher or lower targets for Jamar Chase.
Just to be targeted, I'd say lower.
I'm going to take the higher. I think he's going to get around 8, maybe 9. But whether he's going to catch them all, we don't know because Browning might be throwing it to the sideline, but who knows? But we'll see. But again, use code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. And if you haven't done so already, go to TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. Go get yourself a ring, a trophy, or a belt, or even get some metal wall art from Trophy Smack. That's brand new that they just came out with. And you know what? You can get some cool ones. Get Travis Kelce poster. Who knows? Maybe they got Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce together. Who knows? The new Swiftie madness. Or maybe I just get myself a Monday Night Football terrible predictions toilet bowl trophy for myself.
Has to be.
That's the only toilet bowl I will get on Monday Night Football stuff. But that's going to do it for this week's show. It's December. That means the holiday season's around. So go get yourself some presents as well for some of your family, friends, and whoever you play in your leagues. I was joined by my great co-host, Keith. You can follow him all over social media at SwampDonkey_90 and go follow him on Instagram at HuddleUp_NFL. I'm Fernando. I'm your host of Sports Time HQ. We'll see you all next week.